Hello, people, and welcome to the Party Starters podcast with me, Kane Towning. This guest is a huge figure on the Bassline scene and always has been. He started way back in the early Bassline days when it was all kicking off and is still a huge figure today on the new bass sound. He's 1/3 of the TQD group, along with Royalty and Flavor D. He's a shit-hot producer and is responsible for a lot of the early Bassline tracks and the new bass tracks. And he actually stumbled into Bassline. He was making garage music and realised it was big on this Bassline scene and then got involved with that. So welcome to the Party Starters podcast, DJ Q. Welcome to the Party Starters podcast with me, Kane Towning.
I know you're going to dig this.
DJ Q, welcome and thank you very much for your time. Looking forward to hearing your journey.
What you say, man? You right?
Yeah, I'm good. Q, I've been thinking, and you have literally been there since forever. Like, when I first started, I was buying DJ Q records and listening to your music in the very, very early Bassline days before I'd even started playing out and stuff. I was buying records of yours. Yeah. And you've been there throughout all the different genres, different eras, and you're still a huge force on the new bass sound. You've never changed your name. It's always been DJ Q. Where the hell did it start? How did you get into that Bassline sound?
I kind of fell into it by accident, I've always been a garage head from early. So growing up, 12 years old, I was buying like Gabriel on vinyl, just simply so I could have the full songs rather than on mixtapes. And then it just grew from there. But as the garage scene progressed, I found myself gravitating more to the 4/4 garage sound. So, like the DJ Narrows and stuff like that, and Delinquent and Agent X. So I started making songs in that vein. And my first release was on 2020 Records. That was a London label. And then at the same time, I was going into shops and seeing my releases in a totally different section. So I was kind of picking up the stuff that was around that section. I kind of worked out it was the same stuff that they were playing in Heaven and Hell. It leads on a Friday night sort of thing.
Yeah.
So and then I just kind of found out more about this bassline scene, like the bass house scene, and then just gravitated more towards that. But originally, it always started as garage for me.
And going back to that first release, 2020 Records, was that Reasons?
Yeah, that came out at the same time as a Donna Deep remix that I did for the same guys.
So them tracks were your first bassline releases, even though you didn't class it as
first bassline releases. Yeah.
Wow, that track was massive. It's still one of my favourite bassline tracks.
It still gets played now, man.
For people listening, it's the reasons are. So you kind of fell into the bassline scene and realised that this music you was producing was actually huge in a whole different scene.
Yeah.
And then you just kind of got gripped and carried on producing it.
Yeah, it was Never Right that shouted me originally out like the niche lot. Right. It was like, yeah, playing your tracks. If you got any more tracks, then I'll get them to the rest of the DJ. I'll introduce you to the rest of the guys that play there. So I ended up getting introduced to Jamie Duggan and Sean Banger Scott. So when I was making tracks after the Reasons, I was always sending them the tracks and the vinyls, and then just grew from there.
And when Nev shouted you, where was he playing? What was the club then? Was it Niche back then, or has it moved to Vibe?
Yeah, it was original Niche, but I think at the time you had to do some digging to actually find out information on me because I wasn't really about like that. Mm-hmm. I think he found me on, Rewind magazine.
No,
he found me on their grime forum like years ago.
Right.
And then we just got in touch, and then he's like, yeah, come down to Niche, man. It's me play. But I always heard of Niche through my friends going, but I wasn't really into it like that to be going there because I was just on a different vibe, man.
And where was you around? Was you, because you're from Huddersfield?
Yeah, Huddersfield. So I was just going out in Huddersfield, just knocking about with friends and that.
And then where did your first bassline sets come from? Where was the first venue that you played?
I was playing as a garage DJ. I was playing in venues and stuff all around. But the first actual bassline booking was, I think, a club in Huddersfield called Shout. They put on a bassline event, and one of the early events at in Dewsbury as well.
Was that Sheridan's?
You know, Unit 50, but before like the big boom. So it was like,
Right.
who was DJing now? I still got the flyers on that. It was like me, Neverite, a few Leeds DJs as well.
Yeah.
That sort of vibe, but more of like a organy vibe.
Right. And then you just continue to progress in that scene, producing
Yeah,
more bangers, and yeah, you was at the top of the bill for all them events back then. Especially the Vibe Days. The Vibe Days were
yeah. The
really big.
vibe days, like I think, the Vibe days were like the tail end of that, wasn't it?
Mm.
Well, like before it was like, yeah, Vibe. Just before Vibe, obviously Unit 50, Sheridan's. That was like a big thing.
Yeah, can you
I think.
just try and explain that, because I never actually went.
Did you ever go on that?
I think I was too scared to go, to be honest. Just explain what Sheridan's was, because I'm sure there's a lot of people listening that either do remember it or don't have a clue what we're talking about.
Yeah, it's like in the middle of Dewsbury, like it was a little hut venue. It was like not big, not massive. It was a little hut, and we used to have events there. It was on like every week for ages, but it was empty and nothing was going on. And then I remember, I'll never forget the night. Bob and Santi, they put on Exposed there, and they promoted the hell out of it. And it was random. I've never seen Sheridan's like that. And then every week since then, same crowd was going. So yeah, it was just everyone from everywhere. Like, yeah, everyone from everywhere was just in there.
Mm. And then what happened after the baseline scene kind of went, due to things like the violence and the trouble that was gathering? Where did you go then?
I was still making and releasing Bassline, but at that time, say 2010, when the sound died down up north because the events were getting shut down, London was picking up on the sound. So I was releasing a lot of bassline stuff through like Toddler T. He released two bassline EPs from me. DJ House from Hot House Recordings. He
No.
had a bass label called Unknown to the Unknown, and they used to release a few like vinyls, MP3s, and like mix CDs, just bassline stuff. So that sound was really bubbling in London, and then through that, I was booked to play at clubs like Fabric. So it was always bubbling, and then gradually it started to creep up north again, and like the younger kids were getting onto it as a new sound, and then that just progressed to what it is today.
So when the baseline scene kind of died, and when we say died, you've got to understand it didn't die because of popularity, just the violence kind of run it out. The police were shutting down events, people were getting
I think it's a mixture. To be honest, it's a mixture of stuff in it. It's like, I think bassline was so big, there was like a following there that wasn't really into the music. They were just there because it was the in thing.
Mm-hmm.
So I think when that crowd dropped off and moved on to other genres like, say, Jacking House or UK Funky, then I think a lot of producers and DJs got disheartened and they stopped making music, and that was a factor as well, I think.
Yeah, definitely. There were no music getting made, but
Nah.
But whereas they stopped and moved on to other genres, you just started doing stuff in London. I never knew that.
Yeah.
I
And
never knew.
Huddersfield's always been like, Huddersfield's always had that crowd as well. So there's always been events in Huddersfield. So I've always tried to just keep feeding the hometown as well by either putting on events or working with local promoters just to keep things bubbling as well.
Yeah, you've always been driving baseline, and I didn't know that that's where you went during that spell after the baseline died up north, that you was then making moves in London and obviously your hometown. And then it was really, was it Bob and Santi that then a few years later launched the Bassline Festival, which really reignited bassline in the north?
Yeah, what happened is I was working with a few guys in London, and they were putting together a bassline documentary for part of, I think, Music Nation on Channel 4. One of the episodes was a bassline episode, so we was working closer with them, and then got together with Bob and Santi and stuff, and Chris and Jamie, and we just thought, let's just put on a one-off bassline event, and then that was Bassline Festival, and then in turn it's just gradually turned into what it is today.
Yeah, I mean that was It was huge. It was the first
Yeah,
big baseline event in years with all them names on it again.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
It was ace to see. And I mean, did any of you know it would take off that well and kind of reignite a whole genre?
We always said that if someone did an event right, then it would be busy,
Yeah.
and we just always wanted to do that one event. So that's what it was. We just knew that if someone did it right, and obviously we got the right people involved. So yeah, it was a success, and
And then you've kind of the Bassline Festival then went into Bass Fest,
yeah, yeah,
bringing
yeah.
on board the new Bassline sound. So the new Bassline sound is, I mean, list some producers that have been pioneering this new bass sound.
Yeah, through Bassline Festival originally was old school, but then gradually filtered in new acts, so Holy Goof, Skepsis, Darkseid, Brucey, Notion, stuff like that, and then it's just progressed to what it is today. So it's representing all bass music genres.
And is that the time when you started TQD?
TQD was the tail end of 2015, so yeah, around that time, yeah.
So
I
like
think
Flavor
TQD's
D,
first, yeah, Flavor D and Royalty. But that even that was just by accident.
right?
It's like most of the stuff that I do in music is just accident. It's like I linked up with the label Butters just through having a mutual respect to what they was putting out and they respected what I was doing. And it was like, oh, come down to London, got a studio booked at Red Bull. Let's come down. So I was on, I was on radio before that. So I linked up with Royalty through playing his songs on radio. So we got to studio, me and Royalty, and just thought, let's work on a track. So we worked on what was Day and Night and Vibes and thing. And then Flavor came in halfway through the session. And she's like, yeah, this is banging, let me jump on. And then that's where it came from.
Sick.
So we put the tracks out originally, and it's called TQD because of how the letters looked. That's all it is. Want any big like plan or anything, it was just TQD, and they looked best in that order. So we put the vinyls out, and then from then Shorters got in touch, and he wanted to book us for a set, and then from then it was just like a snowball effect and turned into what it turned into.
Yeah, I mean, you went on to tour everywhere. You was on all the festivals.
Yeah,
You was
everywhere, man.
brilliant. Well, it was good to know where all that started, and it's interesting to know it was all kind of an accident,
Yeah, yeah.
stumbling across it. What I'd love to know what has influenced your sound, even your sets. Your sets are very unique. You're very quick mixing. You're using 3 decks, 4 decks, all sorts of stuff. So
Yeah.
who has been your influence for that?
I think that definitely comes from the garage scene, and I think it comes from being a raver as well.
Yeah,
And like when I'm in a club and I'm listening to a DJ, if the song plays for too long, I kind of get bored. I remember going to Sidewinder when I was really young at Sanctuary, and the thing was, you used to listen out for the mix coming in. So that's always stuck with me as well. It's like give the people something to look forward to, but not drag it out too long so that people get bored at the same time. So I've just always tried to keep things energetic and keep people on their toes.
Yeah, and going back to you being a raver, you've turned up at many of our parties and just put your USB in and jumped on, and we've ended up doing it back. It's ace. I spoke to Shorties as well yesterday, and he said you used to do that down there when they were starting out. And
Definitely, man. I just love the club culture and raving, man, and I really respect what you guys do. So I'm always up for your events, man.
Yeah, man. Thank you. I appreciate that. And just for any young budding producers, DJs out there listening, what is your best advice for them, knowing everything you do now and everything you've achieved in the industry? What would be your key advice to them?
One thing I would say is try get some brief knowledge of like the business side as well and how things run in terms of business and finances and stuff like that. Because like I've been in the experiences in the past where I've been just ripped off just by not knowing or trusting people that have told me things where really in hindsight I should have looked at stuff myself and stuff like that. You get what I mean?
Yeah, so more on like the music side with contracts.
Yeah. And at the same time, don't get disheartened when opportunities don't come straight away. Just keep pushing, because I used to get disheartened when like like you said, 2010 when everything dropped off, like bassline DJs were getting blamed for a lot of trouble.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of disheartening seeing lineups happening, knowing in my head that I should be on them lineups, but not getting on the lineups. But it just pushed me to work harder, innit?
And is that how bad it got? You literally got blacklisted from lineups?
Yeah, definitely. Like in Sheffield at a time as well, it was like I got blamed for most of the trouble there in the clubs. So yeah, there was talk of like my name being banned by certain authorities in certain clubs and stuff. But over time, I think people realised that wasn't the case, and I just let the music do the talking.
Yeah, you certainly have let the music do the talking, and on that production side, you've always stuck to your sound. Is that, you know, even when other genres have been popular, you've never jumped on something. When the bassline scene died up north, you went to do your thing in London, but it was still the same sound. Is that something you advise as well to producers, to just kind of stick to what you love?
That's just me, basically. Like I said, I came from the garage scene. When I was buying vinyls, like I never used to stick to one thing necessarily, but because everything's in the same vein, it sounds similar. So I could make a track at 125 BPM, but it wouldn't sound different to what I do at 140. It still have my stamp on it.
Mm-hmm.
Get me?
Yeah, but you've never chased trends, like you've never.
Oh no. Nah,
EDM track or something like that.
Oh no. I have to make stuff that I can vibe to. If I can't vibe to it, then I can't make it, man.
And that comes from your raving roots.
Yeah, that's it, man.
Wicked, man. Well, thank you very much for your time. It's been good to catch up, Q, and I'm looking forward to all your future projects.
Yeah, I'll send you some bits, actually. I've got a few singles dropping.
Yeah, welcome to the Party Starters podcast with me, Kane Towning.
I know you're gonna dig this.